everybody, it is Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and today I'm going to show you how you can create for yourself this painting of abstracted witches for Halloween. Now, on the mic is my husband, John.
Hello.
He is going to make sure that as I am explaining every technique, demonstrating every color mix, showing you every single tool required to create this painting in a step-by-step process so you can paint this for yourself at home, he's going to make sure that one of the many robotic cameras is pointing at what I'm doing, zoomed in when it needs to be zoomed, big screen when it need to be big screen, so you can always see all of the art action as you need to see it, so you can create it for yourself. And that's really what this is about, is you guys being able to paint this for yourself at home. I specialize in helping beginners do this, so there's a lot of resources for that. I am going to show you step by step how to draw these figures, but I recognize not everyone who's starting painting is really into drawing. So if you check the description down below, there is a link to the traceable. The traceable just goes right to the website. You just download it and you can transfer it onto the canvas. If you feel like this is just not going to be fun for you, because we want to keep painting fun. That's the whole reason why we do it. There's also information about the materials, canvas, all of that is in the description down below. Now, this is part of the 13 days of Sherpaween, which is from October 1st to October 13th every day. I bring a new Halloween themed painting, and I really wanted to do something abstract this year for Halloween for all of my community members who love abstract painting. So I know this is going to really speak to you guys. Um, and if this is your first abstract, what a fun abstract to do. To do a holiday themed abstract is really cool. Now, nothing else to do but get your paint, get your brushes, and come back and meet me at this canvas right now. We're going to paint this together. All right, so for today's class, I have an 11 by 14 canvas in the vertical position on my easel. And over on the palette, I have Mars Black, Cad Yellow Medium, Cad Red Medium, Quinacridone Magenta, Ultramarine Blue, Phthalo Green, and right here I have Titanium White. Now we're going to come around and do step one so we can kick off all this fun. I had to do the rhyme. Had to do it. Had to do it. So for step one, I'm going to paint the entire canvas a phthalo blue. Now I'm going to do this a silly, silly way. This is not the way I recommend you do. I recommend you just paint it from your palette to your canvas, but sometimes I like to sort of squeeze the paint out directly because I'm weird.
I would say you're fun.
I'm fun.
You're
Is that what it
fun.
is?
It's fun.
A little squirted out. I can do this because it doesn't really need to be that perfect. This is just water. I just mist this all with water. Misty, misty, mist.
Ooh, it makes it all kind of
Yeah.
bleedy.
Yeah, it goes.
Ooh, it
Ooh.
bloomed.
All right, and then I'm going to take a number 30 Simply Simmons Bright, and this is in the extra firm line short handled brush, and I'm going to just spread out the blue. Spreading it out. I like this brush. It's real stiff. It moves the paint. When I do the soft ones, they don't move the paint as well, but this one's like, move, paint, move.
Yeah.
Yeah, spreading it out smoothly, making sure all the canvas's white is covered. You can see that none of the white is peeking through. There's no little spots. You know how sometimes you get spots on your canvas
Yeah.
because the paint is like not covering. You want the paint to cover everything. Now, once you have this done, you're going to want to rinse out your brush thoroughly. And you're going to put it aside to be washed after you paint, because we wash our brushes after every painting because that makes them last longer than anything else and saves us the most money in our studio is taking care of those brushes. Now I'm going to dry this with a hair dryer. For you guys at home, whether you're watching along live or premiere or replay, doesn't really matter. When I go to dry my painting and you go to dry your painting, push pause on me and don't push play on me until your painting is dry. And we want this one to be bone dry, very, very dry. So with a hair dryer or air dry, however you want to do it, let's meet back here with our canvases dry.
You want it dry, right?
I have to have this bone dry. So on this layer, you would either use the traceable and using a transfer method, transfer the line drawing onto the canvas, or perhaps you want to freehand with me. I'm going to freehand our abstract witches. And the great thing about freehanding something abstract is it's abstract, so you can't get it wrong. So if you want to do it with me, this is a good time to try. So I'm kind of centered here in a little bit above the middle of the canvas, and I'm going to come over kind of left-hand side, and I'm going to make a little curved line that comes down to kind of a downward point, right? Then I'm going to bring kind of a little hat line that comes like this. Let's loop it underneath. A little hat line that comes like that. And I want to bring a little line sort of down. And one off the corner here. And one line coming down like this and another one coming down like that. Let's bring the hat up. Have a little jutting off that direction, sort of playfully.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to bring another little face down this way. I think I might have it turned just slightly inward. This hat will come sort of over this way. A little bit of a robe there. And kind of coming off here with a sharp edge coming down. There you go, coming down like that. So abstract witches. Bands are a good idea. I like that. I'm also going to kind of do some patterning in here, but I'm going to do it when I get into my paint, I think, to get my detailing going. I'm going to bring another little face right here.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of like little masks that they're wearing over their faces. Symbolic. I'm going to widen that brim out a little bit.
Make those traditional hat shapes.
The traditional witch hat shape.
I don't know. Well, see, it's hard to know. This could be progressive hat shapes. This could be conservative. I don't know. I don't know which, you know, cultural hat reference stuff. So
Witches hats come from.
yeah, I don't know. They could be all
You're
of the above.
unsure.
But I think they're pretty.
I think they're pretty too. And we'll bring a little line down like that. Then once we have that way, what we're going to do is we're going to get a round brush. I'm going to get it wet and bring all the water over to my black paint. And I'm going to outline all of my little lines
This is
with
the
my black paint.
It's awesome. You just were like, this is where they live now. Now, if I was not as confident as you,
Mm-hmm.
is there a traceable thingy?
There is absolutely a traceable,
Okay, cool.
which they would use. And then so you get the traceable on, transferred on, and then you do the painting over like I'm doing right now.
You would just like have chalk or sterile transfer or
Exactly.
some modality.
Carbon. The black lining will help with the abstraction of this, kind of flattening it out.
Yeah.
The great thing about abstraction is every line, every mark has a weight in the composition. Now I'm going to come here and paint this sort of black, kind of in a curve. Then I'm going to bring a little square down. And then I'm going to paint two little black holes for eyes. I'm hoping everyone who liked the pop art cat and dog will enjoy the pop art kind of abstract witches here.
I'm liking them.
It's a nice line. I'll go ahead and paint in under my hat black. Wow. This will be hat light.
I see the first hat.
I'll go ahead and paint that all in while I'm here. Everything's going to be so bright that the darks will actually really resonate.
That's cool.
I think this definitely, I can tell, has some influence from Southwest art.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I can see where, like, things that I've seen in my life come in and influence it.
I I didn't want to like I see influences, but probably not the same ones.
What influences do you see?
Uh, There's a little spy versus spy here.
Oh, hey, yeah. It has a bit of a spy versus spy kind of line. I'm not insulted, don't worry. Good designer. Like, that's probably one of the prettiest graphic
Yeah.
tunes out there, so I'll take it.
This could be sister versus sister versus sister.
Ooh, it could be. You don't want those big family fights breaking out with witches.
They seem to be getting along here.
I think they're fine. I think these guys are actually quite close.
little too close to me.
Well, they're operating the way you'd expect sisters would, together. I don't have any sisters, so I'm just assuming that's true based on what I've seen.
That's pretty cool. I like so they're I like that little design element you've kind of got going on here. I don't know what's about them, but like,
Just the shaping of the mask,
yeah, I like that their robes are all slightly a little like,
little different.
yeah,
There's little personalities. It's not quite the Sanderson sisters and Hocus Pocus, but it's got its own little vibe.
they are their own unique people, or ghosts in a shell, whatever they would like to be today. They could be ladies in waiting.
Well, we sort of did that one already.
I like the hats though.
Yeah, I like the hats very, very much. And I like the flow of the characters kind of coming together.
Yeah,
Now, to do the next part, I need to have this all be very, very dry. So I'm going to dry this with my hair dryer. And then I'm going to dust off with my fingers the excess chalk. And when we come back, I will tell you what we do next. So I'm going to take a small little 1/4 inch angle brush. This is a Catalyst angle. You could do a small detail brush too if you didn't have one of these. I'm going to get a little bit wet. I'm going to come over to my phthalo blue and my phthalo green together. And I'm going to make a midway tone. That's phthalo turquoise. I'm going to get a little white involved so we can see the color. And I'm going to come in very carefully to my mask and paint my mask. With this turquoise. I forgot to dust off my chalk. That's all you do. You just rub it off with your finger.
I like that. It's a nice color.
Dusty, dusty chalk. Yeah, just a little bit of an aqua here. Get a little bit more white on my brush. Come back and dust this with a little more white after it's more dry. More of a blendy blend there. I'll let it have a little minute to think about what it's done. Now I'm going to take a little bit of my green over to my yellow, and I'm going to make a very bright yellow green. Sometimes I get around the details, I just paint the corner of the brush. A little bit there, a little bit in the mask there, the green mask. I'm going to take a little bit of my ultramarine blue and my quin magenta. I get a little white involved. looking pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit of black on my brush and come in and paint this interior spot on the coat.
So you're just deep in thought there.
I'm deep in thought. Sorry, guys. I'm
No,
going to
it's
take a
okay.
little
I
bit
was
of
just
my cad red and my cad yellow.
there's a pause where you were thinking, and the
I was
dot
thinking
dot
hard.
dots. There were dot dot dots.
There were
Hard.
dot dot dots, definitely. Sometimes my brain does do the dot dot dots. I sometimes wish I had a thought bubble that sat above my head. I'm going to paint this headband orange. Make this one orange. Make this one orange. All right. Once I have that in, I'm going to want to take a little bit more of my white over to my turquoise. I'm going to paint a base of this and kind of bend it back up towards the and rinse out my brush. I'm going to kind of come here and nudge this a bit. I nudged it. Now I'm going to take a little bit of my yellow into my green. Add a little white to it. I'm going to brush this back. Wipe that off and just sort of brush that back into here. A little bit of yellow there. Then I'm going to take a little bit of my white over to my purple and might add a little pink into it. I'll go ahead and do that brush rinsing technique again. Wipe off with a towel. Just make sure that I've got some softening. All right. Once I get that, I'm going to want to dry it with a hair dryer. And when we come back, I'll tell you what we do next. So now I'm going to take a little bit of my quinacridone and my cad red together. And make this very kind of bright, kind of pinky red. I'm going to come up over the top of my hat. And I'm going to get a little water in here. I'm going to go ahead and paint in. Kind of roughly, I'm just painting it in. I grab a little white. Little white. We'll come back to it in a minute, but that's the base that I want to get painted in. Now I'm going to want to take a little bit of my quinacridone and my ultramarine blue and make a direct purple.
I really like those. I really like the hats. They're coming. That's coming out cool.
You like the idea of the hat?
Yeah.
Me too. Getting a good purple. I might add a little white to it so we can see that it's purple. Just the starting place. Coming up here, purple, purple, purple. Maybe a little more white on here. There we go. Just the start of the little hats, just
The
the
second
underpainting.
hat.
Yeah. Rinse, 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 rinse. I'm going to take my green down to my yellow, and I'm going to make a bright green. Just using my number 6 sepia round. Just painting these in. I'm just thinking about it, you know? The thing is like, all I gotta do is please my brain about the color that I like in my brain.
I like him or them. They're
Them.
cool.
You like them,
Yes,
even though they are a little bit spooky.
I do. I like their spooky, masky things.
And kind of got good vibe, don't they?
I
But
do.
in their bad vibe. They got some good vibe in their bad vibe. I'm gonna rinse off. Grab a little bit more yellow. That's all we gotta do there. Not like forever and ever, but that's just the basis of what we're doing. All right, now I want to dry this with my hair dryer. When we come back, I'll show you how we're going to paint in the little coats for the underpainting. Okay, so I'm going to take a half inch angle brush and I'm going to start painting in these cloaks in all the colors that they are. So let's get a little of our cad red and our quin magenta. Start to brush this down here. This is just the first little coat layer. The layer. I'm going to
The
grab a little blue here.
Is it the undercoat?
It's the undercoat. I grabbed a little blue to create a little darker value here, blending it in. I'm going to rinse that out. I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit of my cad yellow and my cad red together. I come down here. Maybe brush a little bit over here so that some of it's there. And back into the cad red and quin magenta. And take a little blue and a smidge of white. I'm going to brush this back up this way. A little quinacridone. Brush that down into that.
That's
Just
really pretty.
really mixing up those colors on the canvas.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Creating a little bit of a colorful pop of color to start with. And I'm going to come here on this far corner, would be bright magenta, pure magenta color here. And the magenta is slightly transparent, so it will darken over the blue, kind of becoming a little more purple, which is nice. Then I'm going to take a little bit of my cad red. Come along here. Get a little of my cad yellow involved. I'm painting it in, just using the half-inch angle. I like the squareness of the brush and its ability to kind of come back in different directions and be very loose and expressive.
Oh, that's interesting.
Come out here.
Are you worried about those lines?
How do you mean?
The
I
black
actually put
lines?
them on purpose. I want the
But
lines.
I know, but I mean, you're painting over them a little bit.
Yeah, you want to paint them. They want to peek through. You don't want them to be the whole thing.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You want them to peek through. And come down here. I'm gonna grab a little bit of my black, my yellow.
Oh, that was unexpected.
And make a little bit of a green down here that's darker. A little bit of a green down there, darker. Now I'm going to want to take a little bit of my quinacridone and my ultramarine blue together. I'm going to make a range of purples.
Hmm. Range of
And
purples.
come down here with a dark purple. Just let it layer right over the blue. It'll do a nice job layering over it.
Yeah.
Come here and get a little more magenta and then some white. So the lines are important, but they kind of come in and they peek in and out. So it creates a rustic feel.
Yeah, no, I really like it. It's one of those effects that I really like, but I know that oftentimes people are like, what do I do about the lines? And so I like it when you explain it.
And we're gonna get a little more pinky purple here, and we'll put that up here. Some of the lines get trimmed out quite a lot, and some stay quite thick.
I like that it adds that sort of painterliness to it.
Get a little more blue in here. There we go. Into the blue, creating a little bit of a variance on that color as well. All right. That looks pretty good. I'm going to rinse out my brush quite thoroughly. I'm going to dry everything. When we come back, I'll tell you what we do next. Okay, so now we're going to want to kind of work this background a little bit. I'm going to get back up into my 3/4 inch. You could do a 1 inch if you wanted to. And if all you had was a 1/2 inch, you could do that. I'm just trying to make the brush bigger. I'll be sizing through all my brush sizes to paint these areas. I'm going to get a little bit of white out here, and I'm going to go ahead and get into my turquoise color. And I'm going to begin by roughly painting in background with some turquoise color.
And again, here you're doing that really cool painting the background around the foreground object.
Yes, we get that little lining. I like that one a little bit over. Add a little more green to it. A little bit of blue and white. It's just a little bit brighter, as you can see.
Yeah.
Going to help our figures kind of stand out from the background. Where I can paint around with my bigger brush, I will. Blend these back into each other. They're roughly dispersed in. We want it kind of be rough background. Now I'm going to get my smaller brushes to do these little tight areas. I just want to get in my turquoise zone going.
Bonk my knee.
Did you bonk your knee? You should be careful.
Well, one of the things that I have learned from my hypermobility doctor
Mm.
is that I am supposed to maintain good posture and keep my feet on the floor. Do not cross your legs and do
No,
those
good
weird.
luck.
I know because that's where I like
You like
myself.
live with your legs
I
crossed.
know, and it's like me and all of the other people who have that hyper because you end up relaxed. You feel relaxed in the most extreme positions, and that just further inflames the hyperextension, which is kind of crazy. So while it does feel good to be there,
I'm putting more green into the mix.
public service message today is don't rest in a hyper extended position.
It's a pretty rare problem, though, I think.
Well,
Isn't it?
it's actually all people do it. To be honest,
Really?
it can be, yeah. Like especially like when you're driving a car, you can lean on things in weird ways that cause stuff.
Huh.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I learned all sorts of stuff at my doctor.
I'm blending this up into here using kind of rough brush strokes. Just getting that rough, kind of cool paint around.
I like it.
Get this a little more blue. Get some white into it. More blue through here. Just kind of roughly
Yeah,
distributing it. I want rough and scratchy and messy brush strokes to get this technique. I'll come around here and I'll just go ahead and paint this in a little bit since I've got the paint on my brush and there's no point wasting it. But I'll have to get into my smaller brush to work these little detailed areas delicately. I need to
yeah,
be delicate, you know?
I do.
Let's see if we can do it with our half-inch angle. A little bit of light blue. Little water. Little improve a flow, I think, here. Rinse out a little bit. And I'm going to take a clean brush and just kind of wipe that line because I overpainted a little. You'll see. You can clean back up if you're like, oh man, I overpainted.
Oh yeah,
You just clean it right back up. Take my smallest angle brush, my 1/4 inch, into my blue green and white. Very carefully. Sure that this area is also painted in. Like you do. If you weren't enjoying your angle brushes or all you had was a detail round, you could still do this. You just want to use the brushes that give you the best result for what you're doing. For you personally. Just because it's my favorite brush doesn't have to be your favorite brush.
no, doesn't have to be, but it just might also be.
It might also be. I have pretty good taste in brushes. I'm just brushing this up here, kind of offloading some paint because this is really all about the layering. To get the effect. We want it to be kind of a rough painted, very layered. I like the idea of abstract Halloween. That was kind of fun this year.
Yeah.
I've thought about it for several years running, but this is the first year I decided to just go for it.
Just
Go for it. All right, I'm going to dry all of this with my hair dryer. When we come back, I'm going to tell you what we do next. I'm going to take my 1/2 inch angle brush and I'm going to make a very, very bright green, taking a lot of yellow into my phthalo green from earlier. I'm going to come right here and very carefully dry brush around the corners, coming up a little bit of green. Just a dry brush. You can see the blue underneath it. Let's get a little more green.
kind of have that glowing through.
Kind of have it glowing through. A little bit right here. Maybe a little bit right here. It's there. And then I'm going to grab a little bit of my green. And I'm going to come here and I'm going to come underneath the lapel. I'm going to just dry brush a little green in. Downward strokes, letting it kind of irregular. Dry brushing means my brush doesn't have a lot of water on it or a lot of paint. I'm going to take a little bit of my phthalo green, my phthalo blue. I'm going to come down here and dry brush up a little phthalo green, phthalo blue. Dry brushing that up there. And I might grab just a smidge of white. And roughly brush in a little of these little highlights here. Just a little bit more dynamic color. I'm going to rinse out. And I'm going to go ahead and make some orange. I'm going to take a little bit of yellow over here and a little bit of red, small amount of red. I'll make up some orange on my 1/2 inch angle. And I'm going to come here and brush that in. Roughly dry brush this in around the corner on the side here. Maybe a little more red in the orange that come up. I can layer that back in. And a little bit coming down here. Bring a little bit of orange on this side. A light dusting. I'll take a little here. Right there at that little corner. Just making the background a little more interesting, so to speak. Rinsing out. And grab a little bit of my orange. A little more red in it. I'm going to come over here. Layer a little bit of that in. Get a little bit of the orange red and I'll come here into the purple coat and kind of layer it over the green a bit. And brush it down. and come across. Just adding some warmth to the coat. All right, now I'm going to want to dry everything thoroughly, and when we come back, I'll show you the details we're going to be adding next. So I'm going to come up here in the hat. I'm going to take a little bit of my quinacridone and my cad red again together. A little more to the cad red. I'm going to come onto the hat with my 1/4 inch angle. And I'm going to very carefully kind of brush this out to richen the color that we have here on the hat. I'm going to wipe off a little bit of the paint, and I'm going to get a little white into here. I'm going to start to brush in a little bit of this white. Get some little yellows. Grab some orange. A little orange in here. You'll really color it up. Just a fascinating hat. A little
Oops, wrong
more
button.
dark red coming back.
I was going to say, that's its official name, the Fascinating Hat.
It's a fascinating hat. We'll let it dry a little bit before we come and layer another color on it. Right now we're just getting the layers going. I'm going to take a little bit of my quinacridone magenta and ultramarine blue to make, and white to make some purple. And just sort of dry brushing this purple up over the layer I already have. Add a little more white, and I might come up over the brim a little bit. Just a little white there. And then I'm going to come here with a little bit of my yellow into my green. Really kind of dry brush this over the green. And just sort of come here and add some green down this little lapel. Little marks. Just a little bit there just to create some dimensionality. While I'm at it, I'm going to come here with a little bit of white, a little bit of ultramarine blue. Kind of roughly brush this in. Then getting into more purple. Just rough that up a bit. Give that some more texture and dynamic range, as they say. A little more
That's
drama.
so we have.
Drama.
What was the first hat's name?
Fascinating hat.
And then
I'm not wholly sure here. I'm gonna take a little bit of my phthalo blue and phthalo green together.
And
And
I
I'm
was
going to mix a lot of white into it. You're going to what?
fascinated, disturbed, and distracted.
You were fascinated, disturbed, and distracted
You
by the
said,
hat.
said the hats' names were.
Fascinated, disturbed, and distracted?
That's what you said.
Did I? I'm so glad that there's someone here to remember what I said because Lord knows I don't. I'm going to add a little bit of blue here to the hat. A little bit here. Just kind of rough, irregular brushstrokes sort of going down the front. We're going to make little marks here. And coming up. I like that. That looks really good. Sometimes I get in there and I'm like, I'm into it.
And you can't like it's you have the artistic license to decorate their cloaks as you see.
Pretty much any way you see fit, you have permission to like do their
You
cloaks,
could do
right?
the little scrolly scribly,
Scrolly scribbles.
and you could put
Scrabble scrollies. I'm
maybe
going to
you're
take a little
into
bit of
the
white and a little bit of yellow. Some
Mondrian.
Mondrian.
Just get the
Well, they
cubing.
have a bit of that with the black lining.
Yeah.
I'm taking a little bit of my white and yellow and I'm coming here and adding a white and yellow highlight. And bring some of this down here. Maybe a little more yellow. Find that right yellow. A little bit of scribbling. It's making that more interesting, right?
Interesting.
Gotta make it more interesting. Take a little bit of my white over to my purple. Maybe even get a little of my blue here into it. I'm making almost a periwinkle. Come here and add a little run of dashing marks this way. There they have little.
Ooh, they're higher ranked. They have 2 rows.
2 rows. They got something going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something afoot. Something happening. I rinsed out my brush thoroughly, and I'm going to grab a little yellow over to my cad red and make some orange, like you do. And I'm going to just brush a little orange up the hat, maybe with a little more red in it, I think. Or red or orange. This is just coming together beautifully.
It really is.
Just a nice little abstract set of 3 witches doing magical things.
Fascinated, disturbed, and distracted.
Fascinated, disturbed, and distracted. I'm going to add a little more orange over here. Just brush that down a bit. Dry brush it across the cloak. Kind of on the outside edge just to give it some shape. Give it some shape, man.
Yeah. I'm digging it.
Aren't you digging it? I'm digging it.
Yeah.
I'm going to get some purple. A little more magenta into it. I'm going to come here and kind of go over my hat. A little purple, making little marks. Rough purple marks across my hat. I think I'm going to come into my orange here. I'm going to brighten this little orange up on the cloak. Across at an angle even. Let me just brush a little here. We're just making beautiful color story is what we're telling. Just telling a story of color.
I really like it.
I'm going to grab a little bit of my just yellow. And back into my orange. To the red orange. Just let that go down there, and I might kind of balance that out a little bit. Take a little bit of my cad red into my cad yellow and make a very bright orange. Just brush this down a little bit. A little orange here and there. Just to fill up the space.
Yeah.
I'm going to grab a little more quinacridone and white. I'm going to come up to where I have the purple and I'm going to actually pink it up. So it sort of vibrates against the green. A little bit of pink vibrating there. So once you have touched up your abstract witches till they're as colorful as you like, there's really only one thing left to do. And that's to figure out what color on earth you could sign these in.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to take a little bit of my white. Actually, I might try to get some of my fluid paint out.
Mm. I love the hats. They just turned out so nice.
Are happy, right? They're happy hats. This is good magic. It's the slowest pour.
Fascinated?
They're fascinating hats.
Fascinating hats.
They're fascinating. They're fascinating hats. It's a fascinating painting with fascinating hats. I'm going to come here and grab a little bit of my yellow and green. Get a nice little color here on my brush that will flow off beautifully. And I will come down here very carefully sign the work. I always try to pick a color that fits in the painting, goes, and doesn't distract from the overall design.
Yeah.
Which I feel like I did today. See the signature, but the signature fits in well with the painting that we have.
Be right back.
Be right back. John's going to make me big. That was a fun, delightful little journey into some abstract painting. You can abstract paint anything. You can abstract paint holidays. You can abstract paint feelings. You can abstract paint experiences because really it's just up to you, the painter, how to represent those feelings, experiences on canvas. So there's no wrong, and you just kind of think about design and the way color relates to it, but you don't have to worry so much about the subjective nature of the painting. Now, this is slightly subjective in that it kind of implies that there are three figures, and we've said that they were witches and they have kind of witches' hats. So it's an abstract painting that really tells a lot to the viewer, but it does leave a lot to the imagination. And plus, I love the pop art feel of the bright color. I think that's something we do really well over here, and I think it's something you guys do really well at home. Now, this is part of the 13 days of Halloween. It is actually towards the end of the challenge. It's the second to last one of the challenge. So hopefully you'll come tomorrow, and hopefully you will have checked out all 13 of the paintings, because from October 1st to October 30th, I do a different Halloween themed painting, and I try to have a variety of something, some cute, some adorable, some pretty and ethereal, some scary. Like I try to make it up, and I've even included some abstraction for all of my community members who just love abstract. I did this for you guys just so that you would have something in this challenge that really spoke to you. In the description down below, there's a link to my art store. So if there's anything on the show, like one of those angle brushes where you're like, I need one of those angle brushes, they really are lovely. You can find those in my art store if you're looking for those. And there's also information about going by the website. You can sign up for the newsletter and all of that. If you'd like to support cool programs like the 13 Days of Sherpaween, you can join Patreon and support us that way. You can tell your friends. Tell your friends that there's really cool art that they could paint and spread the message around.
Mm.
Either one of those things is great. You could
Yeah.
leave a like and leave a comment telling us we're doing a good job. There's a lot of ways to support the channel, and we appreciate every single one of them. There's really nothing to say but for you to be good to yourselves and be good to each other. And I want to see you at an easel real soon. Bye bye.